Groovy! We finally have a new announcement to talk about. It is groovy. It's a very groovy announcement. See right there? See what I did there? We'll talk about it coming up after this. Well, hello everybody out there in Atlanta. This is Chris from AncientLegacy.com with another exciting episode of My Talking Head, a long overdue episode of My Talking Head. It has been a while since we've had any kind of announcement. Yes, we had the Soul Collectors announcement back in June. I decided that I was not going to do a video on that as it wasn't really an announcement. It was just kind of, hey, this is what the theme is this year. This is kind of what we're going for. I didn't really think that it would be beneficial to do a video for that, but nevertheless, we are past that. We have been waiting for another house announcement to come. They've been a little slow this year with the house announcements, but we've had slow times in the past. This is nothing new. 2 years ago, I believe, every year people bicker about, the lack of announcements, the slow amount of announcements coming through, the trickle down of announcements coming through. This is nothing new. Sometimes they're on the ball, sometimes they're not on the ball. Sometimes there are things beyond their control that they're not, that sort of impedes their announcement schedule, their announcement timeline, which brings us to today's announcements. It's Ash vs. Evil Dead, the Starz show, which is currently finished its second season. I have not seen the second season yet. I'm waiting for it to come out on Blu-ray, which I believe is August 22nd. I do not have Starz. And I refuse to buy Starz just to watch the show, so that's not happening. So I have to wait until the season comes on Blu-ray, which, like I said, I believe is August 22nd. So yes, Ash vs. Evil Dead is coming to Halloween Horror Nights 27. I am really excited about this house. I knew Evil Dead was coming for quite some time now. There may have been some changes along the way, but I knew that it was coming. I would have preferred that it be the original two films, Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, or even Army of Darkness. I'm not so high on Army of Darkness. I love Army of Darkness, but it's not my favorite of the Evil Dead franchise films there. But I would have, yes, preferred the original films to come. But nevertheless, we have the show. The show, if you have not seen the show is actually, it's a very good show. I was surprised by how good the show was when I saw the first season. We've had, there's been, I don't want to say a trend, but we've had a couple high-profile horror films over the last couple of years be turned into television series. We had From Dusk Till Dawn, which of course we had The House. It was back in 2014, I believe. And then, of course, we had The Exorcist last year, The Exorcist TV show. There probably is one or two others in there that I'm missing. But, of course, we have the Evil Dead franchise as well. A rare thing where all the original players came back to do the show. Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, Tappert, all those guys came back to do the show. And the quality shows. It's a very, very, very solid, very entertaining show. And should make for a fun house. It's kind of... could have sort of the fun house vibe for this year. The fun house sort of, every year there usually is some kind of a fun house or a comedy house where, Ash or the Evil Dead franchise really isn't comedy per se. It relies heavily on comedy. So like, especially if anybody out there has seen Evil Dead 2, Sam Raimi, he loves to infuse that sort of over the top comedy to it, especially when you look at Evil Dead 2 or even Ash vs. Evil Dead or Army of Darkness. There is comedy to it, so it could very well be the sort of fun comedy house for this year's event. I don't foresee anything really being the sort of fun over the top comedy house this year besides this house. So I believe that this is going to be our sort of comedy house event. house for this year's event. Not much was said about what this house is going to entail. They did say that the cabin will be there. I didn't hear anything about actually seeing Ash inside the house, which kind of makes me nervous because whenever you're dealing with likenesses, so in other words, in this case, Bruce Campbell, who plays Ash Williams, there could be some sort of legal issues that could crop up that cause them not to use the likenesses of Ash in the house. I'm not quite sure, but I didn't hear anything about Ash being in the house unless I just overlooked it. That kind of makes me nervous. I've wanted this property to come to the event for a long time. The original property to come to the event, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, and now Ash vs. Evil Dead. I was not a huge fan. I wasn't a fan at all, I should say. I hated the Evil Dead remake that came out a couple years ago, and I hated the house at the event as well. They should have done the originals first, as opposed to doing the remake. To have the character there before the remake. But now with this, it's kind of a backdoor way of getting the original in there without getting the original in there. Yes, the character, it's the original character, so on and so forth. But I just hope they're able to do that in the house and not be hindered by legal stuff and whatnot. But nevertheless, I am excited for this house to come to this year's event. Like I said, I am a big fan of the property. This is one of my original McFarlane Movie Maniacs toys there. As you can see, I am a nerd, so I tend to keep things in the boxes, and kind of yellowish there. It's been in there. I even still have the original price tag on there. What did I pay for it? $11.99, and this was back in like 1999. So I am excited about this house coming to the event. What do you guys think? Have you seen Ash vs. Evil Dead? If you have not seen the show, I highly recommend watching the show. It is a very, very, very good show. If you are a fan of the properties and you have not seen the event or have not seen the show, go ahead and watch the show because you will not be disappointed. Even if you haven't seen the original Evil Dead films, go ahead and watch the show. I think you can get away with watching the show without knowing too much about the original films. It might help here and there, but it does. It does stand on its own. You can watch the show and be entertained by it, and not having seen the original content. But yeah, so I'm excited about Ash vs. Evil Dead. Might not have been exactly what it was originally intended, but nevertheless, we have it coming to the event this year. Both coasts, Hollywood and Orlando, by the way. That's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot else. I can't believe we finally have. I was actually out this morning. I told myself that I probably shouldn't go out, but I just did not get back in time. So I was late getting this stuff up. But yeah, so we are less than, I think, was it 49 days? 49 days away from the event. So we're quickly coming up. That Soul Collector's Countdown, I believe, ends sometime next week. It's either Thursday or Friday, the 3rd or 4th, or something like that. I don't think that we're going to get announcements after that timer reaches 0. I think we're just going to get those boxes that are on the website sort of revealed. Whether or not they are houses or scarce one reveals, I don't know. I have no inside information on that point. I just know that something is coming when that counter reaches 0. What it is, I have no idea. So hopefully we'll get some more announcements quicker these days, but time will tell. But anyway, guys, that's it for me. I will talk to you later.